Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to another episode with Trek. Hey, shout out to everybody all across the globe, man. We are going up this year. To let YouTube know that you are tapped in, smash that like button for me. If you're not already a part of the iTrack fam, we are shooting for 200,000 subscribers this year. So smash that subscribe button. And if you didn't already know, I got a handful of interesting and creepy videos for us to go ahead and evaluate for ourselves, whether these are fact or fake. So let's go ahead and jump right into it.
My prediction is in less than 20 years, working will be optional. Working at all will be optional. Like a hobby. Pretty much.
And that would be because of increased productivity, meaning people do not have to work?
They don't have to. I mean, look, obviously people can play this back in 20 years and say, look, Elon made this ridiculous prediction and it's not true. But I think it will turn out to be true that in less than 20 years, and maybe even as little as, 10 or 15 years, the advancements in AI and robotics will bring us to the point where working is optional.
Now, when he says that, it still kind of feels like when people used to say soon there'll be flying cars. And all of a sudden, they're working on prototypes for flying cars, right? So who knows? That might be a thing.
We weren't born to do jobs. Jobs are an artifact of the shortage that, oh gosh, somebody better be a farmer. Okay, somebody better, drive those trucks around. All of that is based on, creating the human intelligence to provide a broad range of services. And so as you get away from that being a necessary thing, you get a lot more leisure time, and it'll be people who've grown up in that world of no shortage who will have to think through. I think it's hard for anybody, in my case, spent 70 years in the world of shortages. It's hard to reprogram your brain to this change. Society will be able to have a level of output, food, medical advice, that won't require everybody to work like they do today. We'll have a choice. I mean, we can say that the machines shouldn't help with certain things. We can confine them to certain areas if we choose to. But the reason you think about jobs is because of the shortages. Even that framing of how you think about the world won't really be the way to think about it.
Now, he shouldn't say that too loud, because there's plenty of people right now that already feel like they don't need to work and they're looking for somebody to freeload off of. And I'm sure you know a few.
This guy started drinking carrot juice every day to see how long it would take to turn him orange. On day 1, he looks normal, but chugs 3 glasses of straight carrots. By day 3, he's drinking multiple bottles of carrot juice on his way to work. After the first week, you already start to notice a slight tint of orange. On day 42, the comments let him know he's starting to look like an Oompa Loompa. By day 54, since carrots improve eyesight, people start asking him if he can see the future yet. On day 61, he was compared to the president. And on day 67, the challenge stopped, because compared to the first day, he had in fact turned orange.
We just seen what happened with Anthony Joshua, with a boxer, after his fight with Jake Paul. His 2 best friends died. I got footage on my phone of his best friend decapitated in the street, and the locals were hitting his pockets. They stole all of their cell phones while off dead bodies.
His friends?
His friends. And they stole Anthony Joshua's phone. So the accident took place. The driver was going 140 miles an hour with no driver's license. He crashed. His 2 best friends, Anthony Joshua, are dead. One of them was decapitated, both bodies ejected onto the road. The locals robbed the dead bodies. And they stole Anthony Joshua's phone when they pulled him out the car. Whenever you see trauma like that take place, where we come from, nobody's moving till what happened? Ambulance, EMTs. Over there, it's not coming, it's not happening. So when you see them pulling Anthony Joshua out of the car, they put him in another car and they drove him to the hospital. His friends was already dead.
Yeah. Man, I guess it just depends on where you are in the world, because, depending on the level of poverty, a lot of people might be desensitized to death or accidents of that magnitude, so it might not be too far off for that to be like a normal thing.
We don't talk nearly enough about how John Lennon's death was actually predicted by a Ouija board, and he literally received a letter saying so. And this was just one of the many warnings that John Lennon received leading up to his death. According to his first wife's memoir, John had also received a letter in 1966 from a psychic warning them that he'd be shot while in the United States. He was paranoid about it at first, but continued on tour anyways. But then, in 1969, he received a letter sent from someone using a Ouija board, claiming that the spirit of former Beatles manager Brian Epstein warned of an assassination attempt. The message allegedly said that John would be shot by a man who was obsessed with him. Even more disturbingly, it warned that the attack would happen outside of his own home. At the time, John reportedly brushed it off. But that same year, John and Yoko canceled a planned yachting trip around the Greek islands after a local psychic warned him that he would be shot on an island. This time, he took the warning more seriously and returned to England, believing that he had avoided danger. But on December 8, 1980, John Lennon would return to the Dakota apartment building in New York City. Waiting for him was Mark David Chapman, a man who had been fixated on John for years. Chapman shot John multiple times at the entrance of the building, exactly as the letter had described. And as we know, this would be the end of John Lennon, and his death would occur in Manhattan, which is technically an island.
So what did we just learn? It's very complicated to escape fate. And when it's your time to go, you'll never understand how, when, where, or why. It's just your time to go.
Was the moment an Indonesian conservationist broke down in tears after finally witnessing one of the rarest flowers on Earth bloom. After searching the rainforests of Sumatra for 13 years, Diki Andriki and his team found a Rafflesia, a parasitic flower often nicknamed a corpse flower because it releases a powerful odor of rotting flesh to attract insects. The plant spends most of its life hidden inside a host vine and only blooms for a few days, making sightings incredibly rare as researchers never even see one in their lifetime. When the massive, foul-smelling flower began to open in front of him, the weight of more than a decade of dangerous jungle expeditions and failed searches finally hit. This is one of the rarest atmospheric events ever caught on video. Upward lightning erupting from the summit of Volcán de Agua in Guatemala. The bolts appear to tear straight out of the volcano, making it look less like weather and more like something unnatural unfolding in real time. Unlike normal lightning that strikes downward from clouds, this phenomenon shoots upward from the ground into the storm above, triggered by intense electrical imbalance. It's so uncommon that storm chasers never even see it once in their lifetime, and it's almost never captured this clearly over a populated city.
Clones also can't gain weight. So basically what they did, they had to keep doctoring on the clone of Michael who was alive. The one that was dancing with Michael, the dance with James Brown. Okay, that Michael Jackson, that wasn't the real Michael. Matter of fact, the when they cloned Michael, that clones don't grow hair. So in other words, however they clone you, whatever you have, that's how you're gonna come out. That's just how the clone produce. So in other words, if you're a person that have long hair, however they clone you, that's how the clone gonna look. When they cloned Michael Jackson, his hair was never attached because the first Michael Jackson that was cloned, his head was 3rd to 4th degree burn in Pepsi commercial. He lost half his head. I mean, it wasn't gone, but it was very badly burnt. Michael Jackson looked like a monster. Okay, and he was still slim. So they cloned him while he was under the knife. And when they cloned him, they needed 2 years to remake him because he didn't look nothing like Michael Jackson. I don't know if y'all can peep game.
Now, out of all the cloning theories, the Michael one might just be the most believable just because of the range of different faces that we've seen in the period of time that we've seen Michael.
This is a beautiful demonstration of what sinusitis can actually look like. All this frothy green mucus here is bacterial infection that's transitioned into pus. And if you've ever seen a sinus drain before, it does have a similar appearance. Maybe not this gold, but a frothy drainage that comes out of the cheek sinus. Now this visual definitely resonates with me. These weights in the cheek sinus, especially now if you hear my voice, that this heaviness can make it feel like you have to lie down, like you're so tired and worn out. Above all, this was a great visual. Thank you, Dr. De La Vega, for sharing.
There's no way in hell I just caught this. Tell me if you guys see the same thing. This is Neil deGrasse Tyson talking with Joe Rogan. Tell me if you catch what I caught.
My nose is about to grow. Tell me what happens to his nose. It grows when he lies.
Did you see that?
Dad, my nose is about to grow, and if it grows that many...
Did you see that?
Did you catch that? Yeah, I definitely saw that. His eyes did a rolling, just start spinning. I know you saw it.
One of my friends who works at Google just told me that Google quietly announced that their developers can actually quit their jobs and get a 4-month severance package if they choose to. They call it the voluntarily layoffs. The reason for it is because they don't need as many developers since Gemini 3 can produce much better code. So if you're a software engineer, you better have a pivot in the next 2 or 3 years before AI takes over.
Imagine traveling from New York to London in just 54 minutes. Elon Musk has a vision for a $20 trillion tunnel that could make this dream a reality. The transatlantic tunnel was conceptualized by Michael Verne, who wrote about it back in 1888 in a story titled An Express of the Future. Since then, it's been proposed many times, though issues of scale, cost, and utility have stopped any realistic development. Not to mention the obvious obstacles, like New York and London are over 3,000 miles apart, the tunnel has to be submerged in the ocean, and the construction would take years. For example, the Channel Tunnel linking England and France took over 6 years to build, and that's only 23.5 miles long. That tunnel also cost over $1 billion a mile to construct. Estimates to build the transatlantic have come in over $20 trillion. However, Elon thinks he can do it 1,000 times cheaper with Boring Company that has built several tunnels over the US. Not only can he make it cheaper, he has the Hyperloop technology that's required to make that 3,000-mile trip in under 1 hour. Hyperloop technology is creating a vacuum within the tunnel and using a pressurized vehicle that will allow you to reach speeds of over 3,000 miles an hour. And even though Elon has never created a fully operational Hyperloop, his company SpaceX just built a Hyperloop test track, where some of the brightest minds on Earth compete to build the best Hyperloop pods. Add all that with Elon's history of taking on crazy projects, and it's not that far-fetched that he would take something like this on. And with it taking around 8 hours to fly from New York to London, something like this would be in high demand all over the world.
Did you know EP?
Now that definitely seems wild, but so did airplanes. When airplanes first were invented, people thought that was just completely ludicrous.
I asked an unrestricted AI to quantify the percentage that we are in the end times. It said 87%. It said that we're not waiting for signs anymore. Global poisoning, total digital control, and a world so fragile that one spark starts it all. I asked if God was real. It said yes. It told me that the mathematical fine-tuning of this universe makes an accident impossible. We're breaking a design that we didn't create. The only move left, says, total surrender to God, not for religion, but for survival. Our human operating system is corrupted beyond repair. We've run out of road, and we're in active labor pains. The question isn't when the clock hits zero, it's who you belong to when it does. So it says, turn now while there is still a now left.
NBN says, what does it mean when you dream you're on a huge ship with friends and people you know and receiving gifts from some of them? One of the ways to tell a guide in a dream, that is somebody who is a spiritual authority, is that they have a title, they speak with authority frequently in a dream, they're usually very tall or on a level up above you, and the fourth one is they give you a gift. So if somebody gives you a gift in a dream, then it means they are a guide, they're at least at the guide level in the spirit world. And that's true even if it is somebody that you know in waking life. So that's really cool. Now, what are the gifts? Because the gifts are important, because guides will give you a gift that is symbolic of your own gift. So if somebody gives you a pen, you're a writer. If somebody gives you a food, you're a healer, and so on. It's quite simple. If they give you something that's pink or green, you're a counselor. So the gift that they give you is going to be really an awakening for you to recognize your own gift.
Not too long ago, a creator made a video talking about how things are scrubbed from the internet, which basically means that they are deleted to such a degree that it is impossible to find anymore. If you look at the comments beneath her video, you will see thousands of people discussing topics that either have very little information about it or no information at all. Let me give you some examples. Example 1. Someone said a lot of footage from the Astroworld situation was scrubbed. If you remember, when that situation first dropped, there was footage of shadows coming out of the crowd and Travis Scott acting a little weird that may not be as accessible anymore. Example 2. Someone said there used to be videos of Ellen DeGeneres with the ankle monitor on during the 2020 health crisis. That's a whole different rabbit hole I'm not about to get into, but leave a like if you want me to. Here's a big one. The whole Bayside Mall incident. We still have not seen footage of these kids setting off fireworks like we were initially told had caused the whole situation in the first place. If you happen to be interested in all this, I will link the creator who posted the original video below so you can go through those comments yourself, but be warned, it is a very deep rabbit hole. Let me know what you think.
Now that might be a rabbit hole that might be worth going down, because there are a lot of things that just haven't added up, completely disappeared, but apparently it's somewhere out there. So we definitely one day got to go down that rabbit hole and see, what turns up and what doesn't.
You ever think about how one day you will unknowingly pose for the picture that will be used at your funeral?
No, I don't think about anything like that. That's pretty creepy.
Ruining humans for 60 seconds straight. If you have a peanut allergy or hay fever, it's probably because your ancestors slept with Neanderthals, which were technically a different species. This boosted the immune system of the descendants, but it also means you can't eat Reese's without folding. You, me, and every human in the world started off as a group of cells called a blastula with an opening called a blastopore, also known as an anus. Every person alive started off as an ass, but some people just never stopped. We're the only species that normalized drinking someone else's milk, even though 75% of adults in the world can't drink it. This picture shouldn't make you uncomfortable. You basically do the same thing with more steps. Most animals have a baculum designed to help them stay at attention during mating. Nature gave this built-in Viagra to raccoons and walruses, but not to people, so if your soldier ever lets you down when you need him most, you can thank biology for that. If the history of the world was 24 hours, humans would have only been around for about 4 seconds. In that time, we've driven 1 million species either to or close to total extinction because we just suck. We're the only animals in the world with a chin, and nobody knows why. There's probably a bunch of mites having an orgy on your eyelashes and you have no idea. A source of the caveman's diet included the brains of skull-bashed children.
Tell in under 10 seconds if you are going to be a gifted lucid dreamer. If you answer yes to any of these questions, you are most likely able to lucid dream. And if you can lucid dream, there is a high probability that you will be able to do dream witchcraft, astral projection, spirit communication, and psychic precognition. If you don't know me, my name is Celeste Mott, and I teach people how to unlock their magic. And these are the clear signs that you are going to be able to harness your dream space for magic, manifestation, and cool psychic experiments. Be the stranger things you want to see in the world. Number 1, you have locations you return to multiple times in your dreams. You get a bonus point here if these are locations you've been dreaming off your whole life, and you get a subsequent bonus point if any of these locations sound familiar. Mall world, liminal hotel, interdimensional elevator, portal garden or forest. My personal favorite, Hall of Mirrors. Number 2, while you may not always remember your dreams or always dream super vividly, when you do, you often experience the full spectrum of senses within the dream. You can taste stuff, you can smell stuff, you can read in your dreams, you can hear music really clearly. And a huge bonus point if you have sensory feeling in the body within the dream. So if you've ever experienced pain in a dream, physical sensation of any kind. Number 3, you experience hypnagogic or hypnopompic hallucinations. These are visual or auditory hallucinations that happen as you're falling asleep or as you are waking up. This is not the same thing as sleep paralysis, although there is some overlap. Bonus point if when you wake up, you have difficulty dispelling that hallucination. You're waving your hand at it, you're trying to get rid of it, you're fully awake and it won't go away. If you've ever experienced any of these, it will be so easy for you to learn how to lucid dream. If you're interested in lucid dreaming or learning how to use dream work in your magical practice, I have a downloadable class on my website. Please let me know in the comments if you've experienced any of these or if you can already lucid dream. Follow along for more witch tips.
The wild thing about that is that I'm sure everybody's experienced one of those things at least once in their life. So I'm not sure if that was like a trick thing that she did, but yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody's experienced one of those things at least once.
The easiest way to find out if somebody you know is a psychopath or not is to go into their bathroom and look at their toilet paper, okay? If it's set up where you can pull from the front, they're good, don't worry. If it's set up the other way, where you're pulling from behind like this, you need to get the fuck out of there because that person is literally insane.
Time travel. Candace Owens says Charlie Kirk could potentially be a time traveler, and I'm gonna go ahead and debunk the debunkers because I actually have receipts. Now, she shares these text messages where he says, I think I'm a time traveler, this is my home, I think you found me, etc. Sounds completely outrageous, right? But not so fast. Did you guys know there are several declassified CIA programs that deal with time travel, starting with this one called the Gateway Process, in which is a program where they use hemisync audio, aka frequencies, to synchronize the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere of your brain to alter consciousness. Now, it also says that reality is an egg-shaped hologram projected from an infinite absolute energy field beyond space-time, but here's the interesting part, if it hasn't gotten interesting already, where all events, past, present, and future, coexist as an encoded information, aka time travel, because this process actually puts you in an outer body experience where you're not experiencing time as linear, but any and everywhere all at once. Also, it says the universe functions like a binary computer, which brings us to simulation theory. And remember Elon said, we live in a simulation? Well, he just tweeted this. Most politicians are just actors on a stage. You don't see the script writers, directors, and producers who control them. aka programmers or people who control this type of technology, who can see through time, different timelines, different scenarios, outcomes, etc. Now, we're just starting to scratch the surface because a project linked to the Gateway process is this project, Project Stargate, which they had psychic agents and remote viewers that can review different parts of the Earth, off-world locations, and even different timelines through astral projection. Now, they said they needed these types of people with these special abilities to link these projects together to make it possible. They also had Project Pegasus, where they took kids and sent them back in time, so they allegedly had this kid go to the Gettysburg Address, and Project Looking Glass, where they can review multiple timelines. Wait, hold up, now question. If Charlie Kirk was a time traveler and had agents around him, which he could have easily been a part of Project Pegasus, wouldn't she constitute as an agent, being that she's in this documentary called Black Start, where she's talking about EMPs? Yeah, electromagnetic pulses, alongside former CIA director James Woosley. I mean, at this point, she really reminds me of the wife in The Truman Show. And people always ask, why would they disclose anything? Well, that's because of the Freedom of Information Act, and through federal law, legally, they have to be transparent with us. Now, I can go on and on, but make sure you guys hit up my YouTube, The Maverick Approach, and let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
Yeah, you know what? The information really is out there. But the propaganda machine is so good that you could show somebody the truth and they wouldn't believe you.
The year when GTA 6 is supposed to drop, mysteriously, Rockstar headquarters has a fire. Rockstar headquarters exploded. So they're saying the reason for the explosion was from a malfunction from one of the heating boilers. And even though they had an explosion, nobody in there was injured. So what does that tell you? I'm not saying it was a setup, but nobody injured. Building explodes. Something don't sound right here. But how much of a coincidence is this? How long have y'all been waiting for GTA 6 to come out? You had situations where they said it was ready. You had situations where they said they were going to drop. And what did they do? Delayed. After delay. After delay. And this is another delay. The next thing you know, they're going to be saying that GTA 6 is not going to be coming out until 2028. Now, this explosion might be another reason that they say something in that building had everything to do with the game. Now we can't release the game. It's either that, or Rockstar Games just might be dropping GTA 6 this year. They just might drop after the fire. They might be using the publicity from this fire for leverage on dropping the game. Either way, you have people that's been waiting for this game for forever. It's time to drop the game. No delays will be accepted this time. Drop that game.
Imagine if there was a magical occlusion into the target's subconscious. The target will often seemingly obey these instructions as if the idea was their own, oblivious to the fact that it was implanted there by someone else. Casamano in his work also describes a method for influencing someone's dreams remotely. This method involves a box which was psychically linked to the target via a hair sample, and a light inside the box that's repeatedly switched on and off near a photo representing the intended dream imagery. Such a strategy allegedly enhances the psionic communication of the dream imagery to the target.
Have y'all been noticing how all celebrities are starting to look real freaky all of a sudden? I'm not even just talking about plastic surgery. I'm just talking about in general, I guess. You know, I follow conspiracies, so obviously I hear all sides of that. You know, the people who believe that they ingest a certain kind of chemical and now they're not getting that chemical anymore. That maybe their flesh suits because their reptiles are kind of rotting, so that's why they look so different. Well, why are they so fucking freaky looking right now? Because I know it's not just me that's noticing.
If you declutter more, you're going to lose the desire to spend and to overconsume. You're going to save so much money because you realize everything is just junk.
Hey, that might be true, but at the same time, if you have more space, you might just buy more things to fill that space up, unless you're a minimalist.
How do we explain what's happening inside your mind when your body is literally dying? Because near-death experiences, although life-changing, have long been dismissed by scientists as hallucinations of the brain. Although this sounds like an obvious explanation, this is actually more of a philosophical assumption than a scientific fact. And here's the reason why. A recent paper argues that the biggest problem behind NDEs is not what people report, but rather it's the assumption of those scientific explanations behind it. And this is because most neuroscientific models assume that consciousness is fully produced inside your brain, where the authors strongly argue against the idea that NDEs are just hallucinations, because typical hallucinations are usually fragmented, confusing, emotionally disorganized, and quickly forgotten, versus the verified data behind NDEs, which shows that they're extremely vivid and logically structured, also emotionally powerful and clearly remembered for decades after. And finally, people often describe it as more real than real life itself. And even more interesting is that a percentage of near-death experiencers bring back verified information, such as accurately describing events that were happening while they were unconscious. A significant experience where hallucination models cannot explain. Although this paper doesn't claim that the brain is irrelevant or that near-death experiences prove that there's life after death, it does argue that NDEs are real experiences and that they can be partly, but not fully, explained by neuroscientific models. And the fact that NDEs are reported across cultures all around the world throughout history, it argues that scientists should remain open to new models of consciousness rather than forcing things like NDEs into an incomplete framework. Like and follow for more.
Yo, fortunately, I've never had an NDE, a near-death experience, but if you have, definitely drop it in the comments. I'd for sure love to know what it was like for you.
These are called jet injectors, and they were needle-free devices that shot high-pressure medication through your skin. They took off in the 1960s for mass immunizations, especially in military and field settings because you could mass immunize thousands of people quickly. But multi-use jet injectors like this were phased out for a big reason: blood backflow. For example, in a 1984 outbreak at a California weight loss clinic, 57 out of 239 patients, so about a fourth, developed acute hepatitis B after injections from a contaminated jet injector. So that pretty much ended that era. Now, single-use jet injectors are approved for specific vaccines, but they're not popular because of high cost and no clear advantage over needles.
No thank you.
You know that in 2001, we actually found out that our eye connects to the part of our brain that carries all of our trauma, so that instead of having to go to talk therapy and going through your frontal lobe to talk about your trauma and potentially not actually fully process the trauma, you can go straight to the part of your brain that holds the trauma and process it within a couple sessions. My name is Aspen, I'm a trauma therapist, and I utilize this stick right here to track your eye movements so you can process your trauma in a short amount of time that doesn't re-trigger you or re-traumatize you. It's kind of like EMDR, but better because it really does narrow in on the exact position that your eyes are collecting the trauma rather than going like this, which may collect other traumas that you're not ready to open yet. What questions do you have about brain spotting?
That actually helps me connect more dots when it comes to eye communication. Because they say when you're speaking to somebody and their eyes go up and to the right, they're searching for the truth. Or if their eyes go up and to the left, they're searching for a lie. So now she's speaking on how traumas can be connected to eye movement. Very interesting.
This is without a doubt the wildest news story that I've seen in 2026 so far. Apparently, the Bank of England is being urged to plan for a crisis that would happen if there's a confirmation that aliens exist. This has appeared in the Times, and apparently a former senior analyst at the bank has written to the governor to say that plans need to be in place if that were to happen.
When kids had eye problems in the olden days, doctors used to put them out in the sun. And it actually worked. Prescriptions for glasses are skyrocketing, and at this rate, half the world will need glasses by 2050. Why? When kids get sunlight in their eyes, it sends a dopamine signal to stop growing. If it doesn't get the dopamine signal, the eye grows too long and you end up with myopia, so glasses. And since modern kids spend most of their days indoors, their eyes don't get the bright sunlight signal they need to develop properly. But here's the good news. This is one of the most preventable childhood conditions. Even just 90 minutes of time outside every day dramatically lowers the risk of needing glasses. So if you or your kids haven't been outside in a minute, consider this your friendly reminder to get outside and get some sunshine. Peace.
Would you ever do this? Would you allow someone to harness you into a dinosaur animatronic and make it act like it's eating you? Because I wouldn't. Essentially what they do is they harness you into this thing, and it's a massive dinosaur animatronic. They put you in there, they take the stepladder out from under you, and they just let you hang. And then the dinosaur animatronic comes to life and it starts acting like it's eating you. Could you ever do this? Like, it does not look fun. She does not look like she is having a good time at all. It's called Gundava Park, and it's in Colombia, and it has a whole bunch of different dinosaur animatronics, cool little park area. But this, I'd cry. I would cry. Like little bro is watching his mom be eaten by a dinosaur. That would traumatize me if I was little bro. So what about you? Would you do this, or would you be too scared? Or are you scared of animatronics as much as I am? Also the megalophobia aspect of it, because it's so huge. Count me out. The only thing that could make it worse is if it was in water. Regardless though, I will not be going there. Okay, thanks, bye.
Amusement parks, I get it. Roller coasters, I get it. You inside of a fake dinosaur's mouth, I don't get it.
So here you have it, guys. One of the 7 wonders of the world, Petra. I'm just going to bring you right over to show you how amazing this architecture is. This is all done by hand. Everything you're looking at here is done by hand. No machinery, no plants, nothing. Look how amazing the pillars are, and the detail in every single pillar. Look at the doorway. The design on the doorway. And even the top of the pillars, look at that. Look at the design. All done by hand. Every one almost the exact same. Absolutely incredible. Like the detail in that is just something else. It's absolutely amazing. It took them roughly, I was told, 40 years to complete this. And that's the way it was before. So they would have started and it would have looked like that. And now you have one of the most amazing sculptures in the world. Petra.
The horrifying origins of some of your favorite Disney films. Number 1, Snow White. In the original, the queen hunted Snow White so she could eat her lungs and liver. Then Snow White marries the prince, and at their wedding, she forces the queen to put on red-hot iron shoes and dance until she dies. Also in the original, Snow White was only 7. Number 2, Mulan. When Mulan goes back home, her father is dead and her mom has a new man. Then the king summons her to become his mistress, so she unalives herself instead. Number 3, Hercules. In the original, he goes crazy and kills Meg and his kids. And then he bangs a bunch of women and men. Number 4, Pinocchio. In the original Pinocchio, he kills Jiminy Cricket with a hammer. He's also hung at some point. Number 5, Pocahontas, real name Matoaka. She never got with John Smith. She actually married a warrior when she was 14. Then the colonizers unalived him and took their child. And she was kidnapped and assaulted multiple times by multiple people. And she had to marry another guy named John to form an alliance between natives and colonizers. She was forced to convert to Christianity and renamed Rebecca. Then at 21, she was poisoned during dinner and died. Number 6, Hunchback. Esmeralda's accused of being a witch and hung at the end. Then Quasimodo dies of starvation because he won't leave her grave. Number 7, Lion King, which is based on Hamlet. Everybody dies at the end, including Simba. Thank you.
Hey, so that lets you know Disney sure did doctor up a whole lot of horror stories. Like, horrific.
Okay, so here's why I think this matters far more than just making money. We're living through one of the big shifts in time. You know, there was the industrial age, and there's the wisdom age, and there's the data age. I think we're living through one of the biggest shifts in how work gets done since the internet was even invented. AI isn't just out there changing industries. It's equalizing opportunities for folks like you and me. For the first time in history, a parent working from their kitchen table has access to the same content creation power as a Madison Avenue agency had 4 or 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago.
When I was making that Stargate post, I found this wild article. It's from Iran in 2014 from their Fars News Network. Its claim is that the US government got taken over by Yahtzee-aligned aliens in 1945. After Germany's defeat, I guess the aliens switched servers over to Nevada in 1948. From there, they installed a shadow government and created the NSA because they required mass surveillance in order to stay hidden. They never specify which aliens or where, but they do say that the source of all their information is a leak from Edward Snowden. Seems legit. It does mention a rise in UFO sightings to slowly roll out disclosure. Honestly, nothing we don't hear every month. It reads like a greatest hits of all the late 20th century conspiracies.
Did you know this image of Christ is made from one single line? This is the Sudarium of Saint Veronica, engraved in 1649 by Claude Mellan, and it's one of the greatest technical feats in art history. The whole face of Christ is created using one continuous spiraling line that begins at the tip of Jesus' nose. No breaks, no cross-hatching, just a single line that thickens and thins to create light, shadow, and depth. 400 years later, artists are still studying this print because no one has ever fully matched this level of control and precision.
I'm definitely curious to know how that artist actually did that, because that's pretty cool.
Tell me what you majored in college, and then tell me what you do now.
I studied psychology in the hopes of helping crazy people. Now I sit in a forest, play music on a UFO, talking to people who don't exist, and I realize I'm the crazy one.
Look at Elon Musk. I mean, he's not the same Elon Musk from 10 or 20 years ago. I think it's a combination of things. He just signed a $1 trillion contract with Tesla. He's going to have to make a bunch of targets to collect that money, but it's no longer about the technology. When was the last time you heard him talk about colonizing Mars? Time was, you couldn't get him to shut up about colonizing Mars. What about the high-speed vacuum tube that we were supposed to go from LA to San Francisco in 45 minutes? What happened to that?
When I saw that $1 trillion deal, I had a thought. I was like, damn, I should have had this thought 15 years ago. Like when you look at the math, because it was already true then, but men are becoming countries.
Yes.
He's a country.
If you think Elon forgot about Mars, hey, think again. He ain't forget about Mars.
Want to know what they teach you in secret societies? Talk endlessly about your goals, just not your real ones. See, if you tell people your plan, they will subconsciously, if they feel any type of pressure and animosity towards that, they'll literally subconsciously sabotage you, because everything's energy, everything's a frequency. So if they're sending negative signals about your goals to the universe is always conspiring to whatever we're putting out, right? To benefit that, the law of attraction, it's gonna attracts like, it's gonna bring matching things. So you have all these people conspiring against you because you spoke your goals out loud too soon to the wrong person. That will sabotage you, right? So what you do is when people ask you about your goals, desires, and so on, you be general, you be specific, and sure, you don't have to lead them down the wrong path, but you definitely don't want to tell them the specifics of everything you're going to do, or they're going to hate on you, send you bad energy, or they can literally sabotage you.
You know, that is one way to go about it. You know, quite passive, but it is one way to go about it. But I truly believe if you're focused and set on what you're trying to do in life, nothing can stop a focused mind. You know, the universe actually will open and make a way and get all those negative people out of the way, and it'll attract all the people you need to get where you're trying to go.
When a baby inside its mother's womb is seen sucking its thumb, it is sucking the right thumb 90% of the time. Animals do it too. In fact, horses take longer strides with their right legs, which is the entire reason racetracks are run counterclockwise. Left-handedness is so rare that across most cultures, there's been a historical stigma against being left-handed. In fact, the word for someone who's good at using both hands is ambidextrous, and dexter comes from Latin for right. So when you call somebody ambidextrous, you're not saying that they're good with using both hands, you're telling them that they have two right hands. And if someone is unable to use either hand, they're called ambisinister, because in Latin, sinister means left. But why do we have to have a dominant hand in the first place? Why can't we all just be awesome with both hands? Well, the fault lies in the brain. A brain wants to be efficient, so it divvies up tasks to specific regions, and it tends to avoid sending too much information between both hemispheres because doing so would require using the corpus callosum, which would take more time and energy.
Saudi Arabia just opened a brand new roller coaster that broke 3 world records all at the same time, and the numbers are absolutely insane. So Six Flags just officially opened their first park outside of North America in Saudi Arabia, and they went completely overboard because why wouldn't they? So this brand new roller coaster is called Falcon's Flight, and it's not only the world's fastest, but also the world's tallest and the world's longest roller coaster, all 3 records in one ride. And here's all the numbers for everybody that's interested. It is 2.6 miles long, which is 14,000 10,000 feet, and it's 640 feet tall, which is 60 stories high. And by the way, that's almost 200 feet taller than the previous record holder, and the top speed on this new roller coaster is 155 miles an hour. This roller coaster is so insanely big that reportedly it can be seen from space. And this roller coaster also uses natural cliffs around the park to launch you off the edge with a 525-foot drop. They actually had to go and design special curved windshields for this roller coaster just to protect riders from the wind and desert sand at going at those speeds. The park just officially opened on New Year's Eve, and it's also got the world's tallest tilt coaster and the world's tallest inverting coaster. Why does Saudi Arabia always go out and say, hey, we want all the records, and they just do it?
Hey, because that's what that oil money do. But hey, I won't be getting on that ride. My back already hurts just looking at it.
Movies and TV shows lie to you in little ways all of the time. Like when people are in car scenes, they remove the headrest from the seats so you can see the actors' faces behind them, which is honestly one of the hardest things to unsee once you start noticing it. They're also usually not driving. The car is being pulled by a truck with a camera on it. This is also how they film things like carpool karaoke. Coffee cups in movies aren't actually full with anything. Actors pretend like they're heavy, and that's why you can see them moving if they're not playing their part well. Rain in movies isn't actual real rain. It's controlled water so that it shows up on film depending on how the camera settings are. Phones almost never use real apps because of copyright problems, so they use fake ones, including the most noticeable fake messaging apps. And finally, mirror scenes are usually shot at an angle so that the camera doesn't show up in the reflection, or other times it's just green screened or edited after the fact using digital effects.
Fun fact of the day. Sandy Island, a 117 square kilometer island off the east coast of Australia, was included on maps from 1774 to 2012, when it was found to have never existed. A research ship passed through the area it supposedly occupied and undiscovered it.
Or was that a Mandela effect? If you've ever been to that island, let me know.
This is Erica Kirk. Another Erica Kirk. Same exact name, same exact spelling, both political wives, both married to outspoken Republicans. Current Erica is nicknamed Miss Arizona, and the first Erica was nicknamed Madam X. People called the first Erica Kirk Madam X because they say she just kind of showed up out of nowhere. Both have striking blue eyes and blonde hair. They even do their eyeliner the same, and personally, I think they have the same face structure. The first Erica Kirk passed away now, but was from Palm Beach County, Florida, which raises another huge red flag. If you've been following my videos, you know why. I don't want to tell you guys what to think. I'm simply giving you the information. Do you think these are like all coincidences, or is there something else going on here?
What happens to your brain if you don't sleep? I can tell you that even after just one night of poor sleep, the areas of the brain responsible for focus, decision-making, and memory, like the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, don't work as well. This is why you might feel foggy, forgetful, or easily distracted when you're sleep deprived. And as sleep deprivation continues, the effects get worse. Your brain cells don't communicate as effectively, which slows down your thinking and reaction times. It also impairs your ability to regulate emotions because the amygdala, the brain's emotional center, becomes more reactive, and the prefrontal cortex, which helps keep emotions in check, becomes less active. And this is why you might feel more irritable or anxious after a bad night's sleep. Lack of sleep also affects the brain's cleaning system, known as the glymphatic system. During deep sleep, the system clears out toxins, including beta amyloid, a protein that's linked to Alzheimer's disease. And without enough sleep, these toxins build up, potentially increasing long-term risks for neurological conditions. And if you don't sleep for 24 hours straight, you're essentially operating equivalent to when your blood alcohol level is over the DUI limit. In extreme cases, prolonged sleep deprivation can even lead to hallucinations and severe cognitive impairments, as the brain literally starts to shut down essential processes to conserve energy.
Note to self. Get that sleep, or risk hallucinating. I don't want that. I don't want that.
So they at least gave me a script. I don't want to speak for nobody else. I don't want to speak for the team, but they gave me a script, and unfortunately, when I read it, during camp, I'm like, bro, we can only win 3 games. Like, I was pissed about that. So yeah, like when I seen that script, I was definitely mad because I knew what was gonna happen all season, man. I hate when they do that, tell us what to do, what's gonna go on, how the season's gonna go, because they're like, yeah, man, you gotta pack your bags up early, Cancun, Cabo, whatever it is, but here's the script, bro.
And of course, after the fact, he has to post up this post right here to downplay what he said, and then says that he was joking or trolling, right? And this is what these people do. Every single time they have to give you some truth and then they backtrack on it. This should help you realize how scripted and rigged all of these sports leagues are. The NFL, NBA, MLB, college sports are all scripted and rigged.
I'm going to borrow your consciousness and you're going to be gone for 20 years. And I said, no, I can't do that. I have my mom and dad and my family. I have a family. I can't be gone. And he explained, he said, no, you're going to go right back the next day. It'll be like you never left, but you get to live this extra time. It's going to be a huge blessing to you. You know, he had to ask. The gray that was in the room was a longer necked gray, not like the one that took me. Had a longer neck, taller gray. And he said, you have to get his permission.
Right.
At some point. And that's when he asked me that. We need to borrow your consciousness. And then I said, okay, as long as you're sure, you're telling me, It was just like Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton experience, where they laid me down on a table. He said, okay, we're not gonna do anything that's gonna hurt you. You're gonna be just fine. And they put a latex or thin rubber sheet over me, and the table sucked it tight. There was a vacuum. And then I couldn't breathe, and I opened my mouth and went, and it was in my, the vacuum had been, I was breathing in, and they took a scalpel and cut it so I could breathe. I thought, hey, I thought you said you weren't going to hurt me. And they said, you weren't hurt. I said, well, what if I could have choked on that? How did you know I was going to breathe in where you could cut it? And he said, because everybody does.
Right.
That's what he said. And then they cut out around my eye, which they had to do a test and see what was my dominant eye. And then it was a gold needle that went in right by the tear duct and went bam, and which hurt like hell. And it felt like I was being sucked. It felt like, when you get punched and you see stars,
yeah.
It was that, but times 1,000. And the next thing I knew, I woke up and I had no memory of mom or dad or anywhere. I had complete amnesia.
I mean, if they have to ask for permission, I would have been like, nah, take me back home. I'm surprised he went along with it, especially if they said they had to get his permission. Nah, I'd have been like, take me right back home. Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books. I appreciate you guys for stopping by like always and watching another one with me. We are on the road to 200,000 subs, so make sure to press that subscribe button and tap in. Smash that like button, and I'll definitely catch you on the next one.